Hi, it's Joy, and today I'm going to be watching Echo Season 1, Episode 4, Taloa. I am stressed this is the penultimate episode. I have no idea what Maya's going to be getting up to in this one, especially as she was, standing face to face with Kingpin again at the end of the last episode. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and let's go. If you purposefully put your ice cream stall near a kid's school, you should at least be better with kids. God, her dad was so in with Kingpin that he picked her up from school. He really was her uncle. Which again is partly the grandmother's fault, that the only family she had other than her father is this man, because she didn't make any effort to stay in her life. And you can argue that she was protecting the rest of her family, but the truth is she wasn't protecting Maya. Oh Lord, that ice cream man's about to regret not giving Maya what she wanted. Yeah, this is great. I mean, it seems to show he genuinely cares about Maya. But also, this is what her father was okay with her being exposed to. It's no wonder Maya has the moral code she does.
Need a new jacket. I don't want Maya.
What did you think was going to happen?
Don't be afraid.
He really seems to care about this girl, which is fascinating. It is no wonder Maya is the way she is now. She did not have good role models on any front.
To your final lesson.
Final?
Yes.
But he never bothered to learn sign language.
We are the only ones we can trust. That's your final lesson. You're dismissed.
Very intrigued with how he's going to be with Maya now, because I do think he cares about her. Truly. As much as he can care about anybody. They just killed the interpreter. Fucking hell. Should've got back on the bike.
Easy. A gift. Yes.
I mean, it's
I commissioned a few
fantastic
pieces.
technology in a lot of ways.
We could have a Sunday family dinner, like we used to.
You killed her father. I mean, their relationship is extremely complicated. But you both not only killed her father, but you lied to her about it. You didn't even try to say, he was a liability, I had to do it for a business reason, but I still love you, Maya. You know, like, which, I mean, I don't think would have made much of a difference to her.
But your face, it told another story just now when you saw me.
Doesn't matter, even if there is a tiny part of her that is mixed up. You can have more than one feeling for someone, even if they betray you.
That's you. Always had your back.
Not her father's.
I couldn't stand when they came highly recommended.
Sitting at the head of the table. I like how he used to sit at the head of the
Cookies
table.
on the vein.
He's making all the right gestures. But I also wouldn't put it past him to have some super long game where he's going to ultimately get her when she's not expecting it. But then I do think he does care about her. It's just how far does that care extend?
You that you want an empire. You'll have it. You can have everything.
He is definitely a man used to getting everything he wants. Definitely was emotionally ambushed.
Please tell me you're not that stupid. Don't want you.
Interesting. You were scared of Fisk. Fisk wanted you in New York.
I was confused. Scared.
Honesty. They're calling to them. Fuck. All the emotional
There's
reunions.
going on. Go on now.
I mean, you deserve to say your piece to your grandmother. Harder to pretend you never to push her out of your mind and put up the walls when you don't look at your baby granddaughter, isn't it? Yeah. You abandoned your granddaughter. You had reasons. Those reasons were nothing to do with her. Mm-hmm. Your granddaughter, you... She is your blood. Your ancestors calling out in a time of need. She did not know what to do with her grief. She has every right to say this to her, to scream at her. And her, in the process. It's awful, brutal honesty. She deserves to get to say this to her. She failed her granddaughter. She got some answers and she needed that confrontation. It was a necessary conversation to have and something she deserved to get to say to her grandmother. You deserve to get to talk to the people that have wronged you. However they have wronged you. And I like that her grandmother explained what had driven her to that point. She didn't try to lie or, you know, say, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. She just said, I couldn't be around your father. You remind me too much of your mother. I couldn't be around you. She was honest about what went wrong and what she did wrong even. She's pushed away her shame and guilt over that for a very long time.
Want it bad enough? Don't throw it away.
I like that he's taking responsibility and going to fix it himself. Is she making this for Maya? Ooh. He's expecting you. Maya.
I suspect you've come to kill me.
He's expecting you this time.
I can't remember a time when I haven't loved you like a daughter. We only had each other.
Then why did you kill her father? Very true.
A monster. You knew what you were part of at every turn.
She was a child brainwashed and grown into it. Like, she was a child that you and her father let into this world and made to believe this is the only way to be, this is the right thing to do. She was a child groomed to be a criminal. Like, I don't blame her for falling into this life. I blame her for continuing to stay in it and making choices now. Every choice she makes, every person she kills as part of this, that's what I blame her for. I do not blame her for ending up in the life. Because yes, when your dad, who is your only family you have, who you idolize, this is his way of life, you have to think that is a right way to go, there is a reason behind it, that's justice, you know, this is the right way to do things. And then when there is someone else who is an uncle to you and you love, you're also going to think the same thing. But he's completely just glossing over the fact that he ordered her father's death. Or is he trying to deny that he ordered her father's death and that, like, she just believed Hawkeye even though he was lying?
Plead for their lives.
But it is true. She's killed, and like, I think I've said to her, sorry, that she's killed a lot of people, and they will have loved ones mourning them and wanting revenge on their killer, just the same as her father.
Excuse the monster.
This is her point to make her own choices. Mm-hmm. Yep. You murdered her father,
The same as my
isolated her
father
from
failed me.
everyone, and threw her straight into this life of misery and pain. Does he want her to kill him? I like
Free.
that Kingpin isn't like a black and white villain. He's still a freaking villain.
Free yourself. Go ahead. Free me.
Free me. Very key line there. He's not doing this for Maya. He's not doing this. So, I mean, probably a little part of it is in his justifications. It is that he's doing this for Maya. Free me is what he just said. He wants to die at this point. Probably the stresses and the strains and the pure misery that is running a empire like this, how alone and isolated you feel, how you turn on everyone that you love or they end up turning on you because you are such a vile, evil person, would get to anybody. He wants her to kill him because he wants to die at this point. Like, free me is the way I would be like, not killing you actually. I mean, I don't know what, I'm actually going to alert the police that you're here and give them some evidence. I don't know. You just bribe them. But free me was a very key line here that would make me not want to do what he wanted.
You and I, Maya,
He knew she wouldn't do it.
we've come full circle.
And he knew she wouldn't do it. The truth is, even real blood family can love you and still hurt you and do things that mean you need to walk away from them. They can warp you into a monster. There are people that truly love her. And some of them have made terrible mistakes. This is Maya's moment of truth.
But she's gone.
What does he do now? So, a very interesting episode. I like that Fisk wasn't there to do some great, fighting Maya and be like, see, I was always stronger than you. That he truly did make an emotional appeal to her. It was a very interesting take on the kind of villain. But it was emotional manipulation at its finest, as his relationship with Maya has been. Now, I do believe he does care about her as much as any kind of narcissistic, psychopathic, sociopathic kind of evil person can care about another person. And I say that vaguely because I do not know a great deal about Kingpin to know exactly what kind of person he is, other than evil and bad. And when I say evil, I don't mean like cartoon villain, no goodness in him whatsoever, no capacity for goodness. He is somebody that has made a lot of life choices that have, maybe he was dealt a bad hand in life, but he has since made a lot of terrible choices and ended up where he is now as an evil person. That doesn't mean he can't have genuine love for people. It doesn't mean he can't think he's doing what needs to be done or feel remorse for certain things. Who knows? The thing I find interesting is that throughout this episode there was barely any mention of her father from Kingpin or Maya with him. Like, he just said, you believed what you were told, which I'm guessing was his way of saying, someone told you I killed your father, but it wasn't true. But I'm pretty sure, Hawkeye obviously told her, and he had no reason to lie at the point when he told her. I guess it could just be to fuck with her and Fisk's people. But then also, didn't the tracksuit dude also confirm it? Or did the tracksuit dude just... I feel like he did something shady with Maya. Again, it's been a long time since I've seen the Hawkeye show, so I don't remember in detail. But I do feel like he also confirmed something or other with Fisk. Like, she knows he killed her father, but Fisk didn't really bother denying it properly either. He seemed to be like, yeah, maybe I killed your dad, but I'm the only family you've got, and you love me, and I love you. Now, yeah, like, now if you have someone selling ice cream to kids, I think it was ice cream, and a little girl comes up and she won't speak and she's pointing, like, yeah, maybe you should use your brain and think maybe she cannot speak. But regardless, like, he was rude to the child, but what you do then is maybe you get out of the car and you say, do you know, like, excuse me, like, that's not how you speak to children. Like, what are you doing? How dare you treat my daughter, niece, friend, that random kid over there like that? You're a bad person. Like, why are you coming outside this school and you can't even deal with children? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, that is maybe what you do, because you have no right to hit that man. You can stand up for the child, show the child that they matter and that the way they were treated was wrong, without beating the man to within an inch of his life. And then when the little girl sees you and joins in, being like, good one, kid, kick him again. That is just such terrible parenting and so terrible. And it really reinforces to me the idea that Maya's father, as much as I do believe he truly loved her, was a shit parent because he let her be that close to Fisk. He knew what Fisk was like. Now, I know with Fisk there is a degree of you can't say no to him, but you know, he was Uncle Fisk. Now, yes, I imagine the father thought that gave Maya a degree of protection. I mean, it certainly has. I don't think many people would be able to shoot Fisk in the face and live to tell about it. But it's very interesting to me. I'd almost want more of an explanation into what her father's motivations were. But it's, I guess, one way to make sure Maya is safe is to make sure she's super close to Fisk, but I don't know. So it really just showed you how messed up that relationship was. Like, I didn't feel moved by Fisk at any point. Like, I believed that he genuinely believed himself when he was crying or when he was saying, you know, like, I failed you as my father failed me and I've been a bad father to you. But I think he was emotionally manipulating her as well. I think he is not someone that is capable of love in the way a normal person is capable of love. And Maya is right that he manipulated and groomed her into this way of life because she joined him. He isolated her from everyone else. I'm the only one you can trust. That is such a toxic thing to say when it isn't, especially when it's not true. That is maybe something you say if you're playing the traitors. Like, you can't trust anyone else. It is not something you should ever say in the real world, most especially when there are other people in the world that could potentially be trusted. He isolated her, he used her as his weapon. I do think he was potentially grooming her to be his successor because I don't think he's immortal. I think he's super strong and can survive bullets to the face. But like, I don't think he'll like live forever. I can imagine him doing some kind of like thinking like, that's my successor one day, or my right-hand woman or whatever. But he wanted her to do everything he said. And now, I will say at the age she was when her father died, her choice to go out killing people was fully her own. Mostly her own. She was old enough to say, look, if you were really my uncle, and like if you really love me, like you're saying you love me, you won't, and I'd say I don't want to kill people for you, you won't make me do it. She could very well have done that and stood up to him. But she was also in that place where this was the only way of life she can properly remember beyond some distant, fond memories of a blissful time when her mother was alive. This is the life her father was in. This is the life her uncle is in. This is the life that she has been brought up in. This is all she has had experience of for most of her life. Is this messy, kill or be killed, everyone who is your enemy is worthy of being killed way of looking at things. It isn't a surprise to me that she did what he wanted because his praise and his support was all the family she had. I think if her grandmother had even tried to keep in contact with her even the littlest bit, I don't necessarily think her father would have stopped it. Maybe he would have done, but that might have given her more of a chance to think, actually, you're not the only person in the world that I can trust because I have my grandmother and I have Bonnie. And I think to Maya, she reached that point where Bonnie was such part of a hazy, distant part of her childhood that she barely remembered and that she didn't want touched by any of the reality of the world. Now, my biggest gripes with Maya are the further she goes on, the more people she kills, the more culpable she gets. Like, each time she does something bad, the more I'm like, that is solely on you. And obviously from the moment she broke with Fisk, I think it's on her. But she is now at a real crossroads where she has had this confrontation with Fisk. She has seen Fisk vulnerable as he can be, and I'm still not entirely sure it wasn't entirely artificial. But she's realized that she does not want to join him, which is obviously a good sign. And currently she doesn't seem like she is feeling comfortable staying home, and whether that is because she thinks her family would be in danger if she stayed home, or whether that is because she just cannot face it, and I don't blame her for that. But I think for me, as much as I think Maya will always carry the weight of the people she has killed on her soul, she can at this point make a choice to be better and to do better and to only kill if it's absolutely necessary, not just as a like, that person wronged me, bang. So it's going to be interesting to see where she goes. And I think part of what is enabling her to make this choice is coming home. I mean, as much as Tamahawk can be her home, given that she was essentially exiled from it as a child. Getting to see her cousin Biscuits, who just accepted her again. The skate rink dude, who I don't know, like, if he's just a family friend or if he's family, like, I'm not entirely sure. I think it's fine. Like, he acknowledging that, like, yeah, when her father died, he left New York, he tried to get out, and he did leave her, but admitting he was scared. Her grandmother, getting that confrontation is so important to her. There is nothing more important than being able to tell somebody who has wronged you that they have wronged you, being able to get that off your chest so you aren't just carrying it inside as this burning ball of grief and pain that someone else has put you through. She got to say to her grandmother's face, you left me. I was a child. You disowned me. You chose yourself over me. And walk out. That is so important for Maya as a character. Whatever choices she makes going forward, I'm so glad she got that moment. I would have liked it if she'd stayed and talked to her grandmother for a bit, but I also know that emotions are very tricky to deal with, and that kind of scene, I don't know. I think her grandmother is a fascinating character because I put a lot of blame for Maya ending up the way she is at her grandmother's door because she made no effort to keep in touch with her granddaughter. She did nothing. Like, and I think I respect her for when actually confronted with Maya, you could see in her face the grief of the lost years, the realization that she wronged this child that means so much to her, her baby's baby, but also the resolve that we know she has. And I like that she didn't try to say, oh, I had to protect Bonnie and Biscuits and everyone else from your father and his world. Oh, I had to. She just outright said, you know, I couldn't be near your father. And she admitted that being around you reminded me too much of your mother and I couldn't deal with it. That is an incredibly selfish thing to think and say because as a grandparent and a parent, you should do what's best for your child and as a grandparent, but even as a parent to Taloa. I can't remember what her mother's name was. As her mother, all your daughter would have wanted was for you to love her child and make sure her child had a happy, safe life instead of the one she did have. So she did wrong both her daughter and her granddaughter, but I will also give her that she was in the midst of grief. Grief is messy and painful, and how the hell do you deal with it? So I like that she kind of just owned up to like the selfish reasons behind why she had not had anything to do with Maya. I have to say, I think pride is a decent chunk of why she never tried to contact Maya at all in the years since. Like, if she were to think, oh my god, a couple of years have passed and I've thought, what the fuck have I done getting rid of my daughter's baby, like my lovely granddaughter, and I've just sent her off into the world with her criminal father. But regardless of whether her father was like an accountant or a criminal, like I've cut off ties with her. How could I have done this to myself? I'll write her a letter, I'll send her a birthday card, you know, trying to keep in contact in that way. I think that would have been admitting she was wrong, and there are times where she doesn't want to do that. I'm glad Maya got some answers about the ancestors thing. I don't think she got full answers, but then I don't think anyone has full understanding of it. But she did get some understanding about what these visions are that she is having. But I think it was very important for her to face her grandmother, to get her grandmother to admit the reasons behind it. And the reasons weren't, I knew you were devil spawn all along, child. They were messy and grief-stricken and real and human. Coming from her grandmother, I feel like there was true remorse and pain in her words, even if she didn't technically say I'm sorry. You could see that she was feeling what it felt more real than the Kingpin revelation, though I do think they were both very similarly fraught confrontations between the two. Maya is definitely at a crossroads right now. I don't know that Kingpin, for all of his I love you and I'll accept you even though you shot me in the face, I don't know that her choosing to not return with him will be permitted, allowed, happen. I think especially because people in his organization will know that his child adopted ward shot him in the face. He didn't go after her to kill her. Like, she's been blowing up his businesses and he was willing to give her everything back, and then she still walked away from him. That is not a good look for a criminal. But I'm worried he might target her family because he knows they mean a lot to her. He saw that picture of her family. But it's going to be interesting to see what choice Maya takes ultimately at the end of all of this. Whether she chooses to, like, I also just was thinking, like, with the new Daredevil series that's coming, is Fisk going to be part of that? Like, is Maya going to deal with him, or is he still going to be rocking around to be dealt with elsewhere? But Maya could destroy Fisk's empire at the end of all of this. Maya could pledge to destroy his empire. Maya could take over his empire. She could rejoin him, though I don't think that's going to happen. Maya could choose to leave it all behind and rejoin her family. Maya could choose to move away and start a totally fresh life. There are 1,000 different things she could do, and I really don't know which path the story is going to take with her. There are some I will enjoy more than others, which isn't to say I think any of them would necessarily be bad. There are just some that would make me be like, yay, Maya, happy story. And then there are some where I'd be like, oh, Maya, you made a bad choice there. But it is very interesting to see the way these things come up. None of the characters are wholly good or bad. They are mostly very human and making very human choices. I don't know what to expect from the finale, but I am very excited for it. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and thank you so much for watching.